Hey! Now we have our fantastic custom vintage car, but how can we use it in our short film to do stuff like this? Look how realistic and fluid the car's wheels and shock absorbers move. It's impossible to do this without using the vehicle template, and look how the car stops. Cool. Today you'll see how I created the short film that was the intro to the previous tutorial, and then you'll see how to record the car animation, how to add MetaHumans, how to animate the steering wheels, and everything else you need to know to make spectacular animations like this one. So, let's get started! So, let's go to New York City to create our short, but before I have to do something. Look! Hey! The first MetaHuman to drive a car under Lady Liberty! See you in a while! Okay, if you have never used the vehicle template before, you can install it from the content browser by clicking the plus button and then add feature or content pack. Select the vehicle here and click Add to Project. Two folders will be created. The first vehicle template, in which you can find the game mode and main blueprints as the pawn to play with the car. In the second one, Vehicles, there are the static and skeletal meshes with their relative skeletons, the materials and the physics assets. To create the short film with the car we have customized in the previous episode, the first thing we need to do is to open the world setting. Choose the vehicle game mode as game mode. And choose our car pawn as default pawn class. Let's have a look if all works. Wow, I'm a real disaster. Maybe I need a digital steering wheel. Now we have to record the animation using the take recorder, using the same identical technique I used in the first episode of this tutorial series when I showed you how to record sandbox animations. And so, choose the player as source. Then choose a folder and the name if you want. Hit play, and once the car is ready, click on the record button. 3, 2, 1. Go! Of course, I've chosen my path previously, and I've put an obstacle on the street to simulate an accident. Once finished, press ESC on the keyboard, and the animation is ready. Go to the animation folder and open it up. Here check Enable Root Motion and uncheck Force Root Lock. Here we have the right path. Look at the skeletal mesh following the path. Now we need to create the car actor to use in the sequencer. And so, create a new actor blueprint, name it as you want. First thing first, we need the same skeletal mesh of the pawn, and so select it and import it in the blueprint. Now we have to import the main car mesh and the wheels as children of the skeletal mesh. Import them in the same way. As you can see in the pawn, the wheels have a specific parent socket, one for each of them. So let's parent the wheels in our blueprint to their right bone. The position is right, you just need to adjust the rotation like this. Do the same for each wheel. Don't forget to parent the main car mesh to the root bone of the skeletal mesh. This will allow it to follow correctly the root motion animation. I realize I uploaded the wrong mesh, not the one I worked on in the first episode. We need this one with a separate steering. I just have to replace the wrong one in the blueprint, in this way. Then import the steering in the blueprint. Try to place it in the correct position as much as possible. Finally, make it as child of the main car static mesh. Now it's time to create the short. Put the car blueprint into the level. Copy the position and rotation of the player starter to match the starting position and rotation of our car with that of the animation. Now let's create the level sequence. Set the FPS to 24 and add the MetaHuman. Assign an idle animation to him, although we will have to make a lot of adjustment with the control rig afterwards. Finally, add the car blueprint. Create an additive transform track. Then, from the blueprint track, select the skeletal mesh and assign to it the animation just recorded. As you can see, the car disappears, just like it did it with Sandbox in the first episode of this tutorial series. This is because Unreal Engine adds the current root position and rotation of the animation to the car game level position and rotation. So, we need to reset the root's position and rotation to make them at 0. To do this, we can use the additive track on the blueprint transform track and bring to 0 each value you see by setting the reverse value in the additive track, where is minus make it plus and vice versa, like so. And here our car returns to its place. Perfect. Now it's time to adjust MetaHuman position. Create a control rig and an additive track. We have to make it sit down. For the arms, try to put them as closest as possible to the steering. Once done, we need to switch the arms control for forward to inverse kinematics. And so, open the global track, delete all the keyframes in the timeline and check the two switch controls. Now we can adjust the hands position and then the fingers. If you have never used inverse kinematics before, you should know that it's very useful in situations like this, where the hands need to grasp objects like the steering wheel. Then the arm will follow the hand, not the other way around. The advantage is this: although the rest of the body moves, the hands will always remain firmly on the steering wheel, just like in the real life. To keep arms and fingers in the same position during the whole animation, go to frame 0 and set the keyframe for all the arms and fingers control in the additive track. Then, in the main control rig track, delete all the keyframes for arms and fingers, except the first one. Now we can attach the MetaHuman to the car. Select it and go in the animation mode. Click on the plus button and select Parent. Pick the car with the mouse cursor and choose Root from the bones list. Done. Since the inside of the car is too dark, I add a rectangular light. It's very important to uncheck cast shadows. Then set the light intensity value you like and attach it to the car using the same method used for the MetaHuman. Now let's adjust the animation using the control rig. Delete all the head and neck keyframes and reset to 0 their rotation from the main track. And set the rotation you want in the additive track. Okay, let's animate the MetaHuman. First thing first, I like that it rotates the steering in the first curve. So, set a keyframe for all arms and fingers control where the wheels start to rotate. And another one when they come back straight. Select all controls and press Enter on keyboard. At the point where the wheels have maximum rotation, move the character's hands as if they were turning the steering wheel. I also like that the MetaHuman's body here bends to the left to give the idea of centrifugal force. Then we have to rotate the steering. Add the static mesh to the sequencer. Add a transform track to it. I changed the name to be sure I'm working on the right transform track. Then add 2 keyframes at the same position of the 2 we have had for the hands, before and at the end of the curve. Add another one, still at the maximum car rotation. As before, here rotate the steering. Now I add a camera to see how the rotation works while the car is moving. Go to the first frame and add a camera. Since the camera is too close to the MetaHuman, we need to decrease the focal length, like so. This will be the internal camera in the short film. Then attach the camera to the car using the same method as before. Let's check out the work. As you can see, the MetaHuman is moving too much. To be honest, assigning an idle animation was an error. The better thing for this kind of animation is to work only with the control rig. But I'm glad I made that mistake, because now we'll see how to fix the animation using a very interesting control rig technique. After all, the most interesting part of tutorials is learning how to fix mistakes. Because believe me, 3D artists always encounters a lot of problems in their works. like these fucking steering wheels that spin so terrifyingly, even though, as you can see, the rotation seemed perfect before. Well, it took me a while to figure out what the mistake was. And luckily I found an old tutorial on YouTube and figured it out. Here's how it goes. And this trick is good for all the rotation animations in the sequencer. Select the transform track, right click, go to Properties, and check Use quaternion interpolation. Wow, now works fine. Now let's adjust the incorrect body movement of the MetaHuman. First, select all the control rig controls in the additive track and set a keyframe pressing Enter on your keyboard. Then delete all the keyframes for the legs and feet except the first one, of course, in the main control rig track. It's not enough. So then do the same for the body keyframes. Then do the same for the spine keyframes. And also for the spine bones, I adjust them a little more like this. This way the back adheres better to the seat. And finally, all we need to do is add more cameras to create a short video of our car. For the first one I use a different technique. Still in the animation panel, I added a constraint as before, but this time I choose Look At instead of Parent to make the camera follow the car's movement. So this time select Look At and then click on the car into the level and choose Route from the bones list again. Fine. And here, for example, I like to have a camera to see the movement of the car when cornering. Here instead, when the climb begins, I want the character to make a quick movement with his back and head, and so I work a little more with the control rig. Always adjust the distance of the keyframes to make the animation as believable as possible. And then you can go ahead and create other cameras that you like. Here I touched another camera to car using the same method, but this time an external camera. And once again I used Parent instead of Look At. And finally, let's see the final result. It's not that bad, It's not fantastic, but it's just an example to show you how to create a short film with a drivable car in a real engine. Alright guys, that's all for now.
Hey boss, the social media manager said the tutorial is good to go. Giovanni can upload it online.
Great! Sorry Lara, what's in the next episode of the series?
Well, in the upcoming episode, our friends will discover how to integrate Motorica's locomotion animations with Quick Magic's animations, which is another AI application designed to animate the upper body, just like you demonstrate in the tutorial introductions, boss.
Hey, who's that girl? She's my personal assistant, Giovanni. What? I've never had a personal assistant. Well, you know, you're a bit of a loser, my friend. I'm sorry. You are really a bad person, man. Oops, sorry. Just a MetaHuman. Well, my friends, for the rest, enjoy life always. And of course, ciao.